What inspired me to write crime books? Maybe it's in the blood. We're not criminals. Don't get me wrong. My great-great-grandfather was a sergeant in the police force back in early Victorian times. My father went through the war as a police officer, and I spent many years myself as a special constable. My first book I wrote in 2012. That took me 4 years to complete and was finally published in 2017. It's called The Anniversary Man, and the theme was the modern-day version of Jack the Ripper. What is a good story? To me, a good story is one when you read the first page, you make sure to read the whole book. And then when you read the last page, you want to read the rest of his book. What makes a good story? To me, is when you read the first page, it makes you want to read the whole book. And when you come to the last page, it makes you want to read his next book. That, to me, is a good author and a good story. The most surprising thing I learned when writing my books was that I could actually do them. That really inspired me no end. When I'm not writing, I play carpet bowls and lawn bowls. We have strolls along the beach, and of course, I do a lot of reading. I never had any ambitions on writing when I left school at all, but in later years, I was asked to help organise a newspaper, and they took me on as a correspondent, country correspondent, and that started me off writing. I based all my books on the area I used to live in, so therefore I understand all the towns, all the streets, all the cities, all the countryside. It makes it easier to memorise when you're writing it. My very first attempt at writing was actually at school. I wrote a poem, and apparently it was so good, the whole school got to hear about it. I did some writing at school. Mainly it was on poetry. I wasn't very good at it. I didn't think so, but one of my poems was that good. He got read to the whole school one day on assembly. I did write at school once, but that was a poem. It was so good that my teacher thought, I once wrote a poem at school. It was so good, I had no ambitions at school to write, but one time I did write a poem, and it was so good, it got read out to the whole school on assembly one morning. It was a nonsense poem. In my books, I like to have 3 investigations running back to back instead of just having the one straight one all the way through.